Hello everyone and welcome to Sambhav Law. In today's session, we have with us Mr. Akshat Agarwal, who has scored an All India rank of 101 in the CLAT PG 2023 exam. So first of all, Akshat, I would like to congratulate you upon this achievement, and I would like to welcome you to the channel.
Thank you very much, sir, for having me here. I am Akshat Agarwal. I was born and brought up in Lucknow and did my schooling from Lamatna College, Lucknow. And currently, I am pursuing my 5 years integrated law course from University of Lucknow. And I am in my fifth year. And I gave the 2023 CLAT PG exam and I secured an All India rank 101. I to start with, I do not have any kind of inclination towards giving the CLAT PG exam, and I did not study seriously for the past 3 or 2 months. I was preparing for my judiciary exams because the examinations of judicial services are very erratic. It is not regular. It is not uniform. So I thought of pursuing my masters after the fifth year of my college. So I just prepared it for just 15 to 20 days maximum, and I think I did pretty well. And thank you to you, sir, and Sambhav Law team for helping me out in clearing this exam.
Thank you very much, Akshat. Those words are, really good, and I really appreciate that. So, Akshat, if I come towards firstly upon your preparation aspect, so can you tell me as to how you started your preparation? What things did you come up with, and how everything was done, basically.
As I told you, I was preparing for judicial services examination, so I mostly focused on the concepts. The foundational knowledge of a subject is very important. And as we have seen that the CLAT PG exam has deviated from its previous trend, they have asked more on the sections, upon the landmark case laws, about the core concepts which are there in a particular subject. So I think the candidate who will be appearing in the future must focus on these kinds of things. And for as we take it to the next step, I have not seriously studied for this exam, as I have previously told you. I just focus on major laws such as constitutional law. For constitutional law, one should focus mainly on fundamental rights. There are directive principles of the state policy, judiciary is there, parliament is there. Emergency provisions have also been asked this year. If a person has a complete thorough knowledge about it, he can easily crack it because in this year CLAT PG exam they have mostly focused on your reading skills and comprehending skills. Many of the answers were from the passage itself. If a person has a very good time management skills and reading and comprehending skills, he can easily crack this exam. And also he must also have the basics very clear. So I would advise the candidates to um, focus on the bare acts, the very important concepts, the core areas. You do not read the whole subject, focus on the core areas. And recent and landmark cases are also very important. You can subscribe to the live law bar and bench for for updating yourself regarding the legal field.
So, Akshat, if I come to the subjects that were there in the exam itself, so basically what we saw that was a change was the commercial law that came. So, how did you prepare for that? Or was that part, not well prepared for your end as well? And what happened exactly in there?
I did not prepare for the commercial laws except the contract law. I think it was not very much difficult because most of the answers were from the passage itself. If you have good analytical skills, you can infer easily from the passage. As such, I do not follow that kind of strategy for the commercial laws. Whatever I have read during my semester exams, that helped me a lot. For
Oh,
example, they asked about the corporate social responsibility, and there were subjects like the IPR was also asked regarding the trademarks. So I think you should go through the basics only. Do not, jump into the very deep and start analyzing the whole thing and reading again the subject because I don't think so. They will focus more on the conceptual part. I think if a particular person has a very brief knowledge about it, he will do it easily.
Akshat, Akshat, if I take your attention towards the case laws themselves, so what was your preparation regarding that? Like how you prepared your case laws, what strategy did you use to, come up with that exactly?
I did focus on the case laws right from my judiciary preparation, and Sambhav Law platform really helped me because the case summaries which you have provided and the landmark case summaries, I went through all of them. I made a very short notes regarding that, and I don't advise to read whole of the judgment. I will advise only to look for the ratio. ratio decidendi of the case, only that will help you a lot. And try to understand the judgment or the ratio or the reason behind the judgment why it was given. The main issue and the facts, I don't think so it's relevant, but only the ratio is very important.
I see.
And you, and while reading the judgment as well, you also need to refer to the various statutes which has been used in the judgment. Okay, the landmark cases which has been cited in the judgment as well. And in this year exam, they haven't asked about any kind of quorum or the benches. I don't think so that they will ask in the future, but you should not take any kind of risk, and it is not possible, humanly possible as well to memorize the benches. So I won't advise you to remember it, but somehow or the other, for the landmark cases, you should definitely prepare for the benches,
No,
the
that
name
is
of
a
the
very,
judges.
very that is a very, very valid point, because for the landmark cases, at least it is expected from the students venue that you have to remember those type of things, that, because that is important, because the concurring opinion or the dissenting opinion, who gave it, what might be the
Who gave
future
it?
application of that. Yeah, that is
Yes,
also a
sir.
very important aspect of the whole thing. So if I take your
For
attention,
example, in this
yeah.
year, yes, sir. For example, in this year, they asked about who was the dissenting judge in the in the Sabrimala judgment.
Yeah. So that these type of questions basically are there, that may strike the paper itself. So if I come
Yes.
towards the subject of jurisprudence and international law, what advice would you give students, how to prepare these two subjects? Because these are the two subjects that, do not have a very stable pattern. They do not have a bare act, and everybody is confused, what to do, how to do, what would you say?
For jurisprudence, I think it is very important to go through the jurist of a particular school, who is the founder of the historical school, sociological school, and so on. And I think you can refer to EPG Pachala. It's an online website, and which comes under the Ministry of HRD, I think. It will help you a lot because the kind of content provided over there will help you. And I don't think so that you need to go much into the jurisprudence, but you need to have a very basic idea about the schools, about the founders, what theories they have given, what doctrines they have propounded, and so on. And for the international law, I think they really ask you about the current issues regarding the international law. For example, they have given a question relating to Russia-Ukraine conflict. In the last year, I think also they have given about it. So in that case, the genocide conventions, the international humanitarian law, Vienna conventions becomes very important. So I only focused on international humanitarian law, and thankfully it came in the exam as well.
Yeah, basically what message you would give is that, focusing upon the recent portion for the international law part, and for jurisprudence, the government provided websites and everything, those are kind of useful. So that is also a very, very, I think, a useful way, in which a person can think about preparing for the exam. So, Akshat, if I go towards the paper pattern and everything, so when you saw the paper of the CLAT PG this time around, what was your first reaction while seeing the paper? Because the pattern, was changed and everything. So how did whole thing play out, basically?
To be very honest, I was not surprised at all, but I was little bit, confused regarding the length of the paper because in the previous years they have given very short paragraphs. In this year exam, they have given a very long paragraphs, and you have to read the whole of the paragraphs in order to decide a particular question. So I think here also reading skills is very important, and managing your time is also very important because in 2 hours you have to read whole of the judgments and you have to answer 120 questions regarding that.
So, if I talk about Akshat, the prospect of anybody who is preparing for the exam of 2024, and as we all know that in the past 3 years, the consortium has changed the pattern so much. So, what would you say, like, if anybody is preparing, starting right now, what advice would you give for them? How to prepare and how to go about it?
I think one should focus on very core subjects like the constitution is there, jurisprudence, international law, environmental law, family law, contract, transfer of property act. So one should be very thorough with the bare acts, and you need to emphasize on the landmark cases as well. You have to keep update about the recent case laws as well. Mm. Regarding that, you should also develop a very good reading skills and comprehending skills. Foundational knowledge of a particular subject is very important. Do not leave any kind of subject. At least have your basics very clear regarding the company law is there, intellectual property rights law is there, and every kind of law which is asked by the consortium.
And Akshat, if I turn your attention towards one of the most important things that is tested inside the CLAT exam this time around, that was the comprehension ability of a student to, read and comprehend how the question is related to the uh, question itself, the passage, how you can find the answer. So what advice would you give the students, how to develop that particular skill?
I think you should read commentaries about the law, which is given in the law books and so on. I think when you will be reading the judgment, it will help you a lot in 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 analyzing what the ratio is of the particular case. And I think you should develop a habit of reading the newspapers daily, especially the editorials. It will help you a lot for reading and comprehending skills.
Yeah, that's, I think so is a very, very valid point, because reading of editorials and commentaries is that one thing that really helps us out in building up that ability, because the language that is used inside the paragraphs themselves is basically derived from the commentaries and the newspaper blogs most of the time. And if you are in the habit of reading such sort of a English, then it really helps you out in comprehending what's written inside the passage and everything else. So if I draw your attention towards the mock papers, so what do you think is the role of mock papers while preparing for this exam, Akshat?
I think one should give mocks very extensively and exhaustively. One should go through the mocks. I think he should give mocks at least once a week if he's preparing for 6 to 7 months. I think one mock for once a week is enough. Particularly, I analyzed each and every mock, and the mocks which were provided by Sambhav Law was par excellence. I do not find any other kind of mocks in any other institution. So it will help you to analyze you. You will be able to know what are your weak areas, what are your strong areas, in which area you need to focus more upon. Okay, the questions were very well drafted. It was mostly based on very conceptual knowledge. If a particular person has a conceptual knowledge, only then he would be able to answer it. I think analyzing the mocks is very important, and giving it is also very important.
Okay, so Akshat, if I go towards one more thing that I would like to ask you, what's what's your plan afterwards? Like, do you wish to go towards judiciary preparation only, or like how do you what college do you want to pursue, and like what's the specialized, like what's gonna be the future plan for you basically?
I will be focusing on my judiciary preparation only. I am not yet considered about doing my masters, and it's a plan B, and I will be taking, I think, CLAT PG 2024 as well. Because judiciary preparation, vacancies which come are very erratic, they are not uniform. But I think if my session will be ending in 2023 June, so after that, if there are vacancies, okay, I will opt for judiciary, and if they are not, I will be pursuing my masters.
Okay, I see, I see. So accordingly, you will, as the time goes
Accordingly,
on,
I will
yeah, you will plan
Uh,
out the
yes.
everything. So, Acha, one question that I would like to ask you, like you pointed out that you basically started your preparation in the very last moments because you already had prepared for judiciary. You started in the very last moment. So what happens is that a lot of students, when they come to us, they ask us that, sir, I have been preparing for judiciary, and can I prepare for CLAT? And so much less time is left. So, if a certain situation comes up next year for a person, what advice would you give, like if they are prepared or if they are not prepared, and if is it possible to prepare for the exam in the last 1 month? Like what's your opinion on that basically?
Yes, yes, it is very possible to complete the entire syllabus, I believe, in 1 month. If you are preparing for judicial services examination and the CLAT PG examination, I think they more focuses on your foundational knowledge. The CLAT this year has also focused upon, and the judiciary only focuses upon your foundational knowledge and about the sections and the relevant case laws as well. So I think there is no need to be panic about the exam. I think you can easily do it if you have put a lot of hard work in preparing for judicial services examination.
And finally, Akshat, I would like to ask you the final question, like what advice would you like to give the students who are watching this session, and what would you like to say to them basically?
I think there is a lot of hype that CLAT PG examination is very difficult. No, it's not. If you have prepared only for 1 month, and you have a good student in your 5 years integrated or 3 years law, you can easily do it. Okay, foundational knowledge is very must. Okay, Bare Acts is very important. Bare Acts, I think, is a very key to cracking this exam, along with the case laws, both landmark and contemporary, and develop good reading skills and comprehending skills. I think that is very important to crack this exam.
Yeah, and one more aspect, like I would want to take your attention. One last thing that students, they get demotivated a lot when they are not able to succeed, because it's happened to a lot of students who did not succeed in this exam. So, would you like to say anything to them as well?
I think life doesn't end if you have not, you have not cracked the CLAT examination. Life goes on and on. You will get a lot many chances in the future, and you will be doing very well. I know, because a person who has genuinely studied for this CLAT examination, this knowledge will won't be going anywhere. Okay, it will help you in some way or the other in this legal field. Okay, so I think a particular person should not waste his time, and I think he should be preparing for the next competitive exams for the LLM in 2023.
Yeah, definitely. Because that is very important part, that you do not sit around and just ruminate upon I did not succeed and it did not happen so well. So that is a very very valid point that you pointed out, definitely. So Akshat, I would like to thank you once again, and I would like to also congratulate you upon securing such a good rank. And thank you very much for joining us for this session.
Thank you so much, sir, for having.